And in the 5 years since Rakuten Mobile has been built, Open RAN and cloud-native technology has moved forward. Now the latest iteration of this innovation is live in Germany. Learn more during this session and how Rakuten Symphony, Intel, and Supermicro have collaborated on the 1&1 network. That's Europe's first fully virtualized 5G network that's based on the new Open RAN technologies. Joining this session are Geoff Hollingworth. He's Chief Marketing Officer at Rakuten Symphony. Next to him is Maury Lin. He's Vice President of IoT and Embedded and Edge Computing, that at Supermicro. And on the end, we have Caroline Chan, Vice President of Network and Edge Group, that at Intel. And hopefully that wasn't a mouthful there. Welcome to the session. Thanks for being here. I know it's a little bit early this morning, so we appreciate everyone's time and being here. Caroline, you were on a session just yesterday, so we appreciate you coming back. Maury, nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you too.
And Geoff, met you several times. So
yeah, great to see you again.
Okay, good to see you as well. Geoff, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind. Let's talk about the 1&1 deployment in Germany. Talk about the collaboration with these two folks sitting right here as well, and we'll go down the line as well.
No, perfect. If we look at some of the changes going on in telecom, the core discipline of telecom is actually supply chain industrialization, and the coping with the growing complexity of that. And I think all three of us here on this panel represent key horizontal layers in that supply chain. And to really get efficient and really industrialize requires a lot of collaboration and a lot of cooperation and working together. And we're really happy that you've supported us in our journey in Japan and coming over here. And this will be a great panel.
Maury?
I think it's a great honors because Supermicro, we're coming from the high performance computing the data center. And Rakuten Symphony gave us a great chance to show how to contribute to the Open RAN business. And because of this, we also learned a lot in this journey. And we realized this industry have a lot of things to be improved. And Rakuten Symphony found lots of way out for everybody, but somebody have to carry it out. And we are lucky we are the one being selected by the Rakuten Symphony. Thank you.
Caroline?
Well, Intel's been beginning of the vRAN and ORAN journey. And I've been in the beginning. It just kind of show you how long I've been in this industry. But we were with Rakuten at the very beginning of the journey in Japan. From conceptual stage, like you said, it really has come a long, long way. Now we're just really excited to see how this all showed up in Germany, of all places. You know, it's one of the first in Germany and possibly in Europe, and really the journey of how to take this from a kind of a lot of engineering required technology to a automated, fully automated. That's a long journey, and really looking forward to sharing some learnings with you all.
Geoff, you mentioned the industrialization of the telco supply chain. Certainly that's the main topic of this discussion today. Talk about, in reference to the 1&1 deployment, a little bit more in depth, if you can.
Yeah, sometimes the core discipline of what companies do is not the sexy thing, unfortunately. So if you look at online shopping and Amazon, and the real power of that is to be able to select any product and have it delivered now the next day. The core discipline of Amazon is the industrialization of that logistics and that supply. If you take that analogy and apply it to our industry, we're building a network that has tens to hundreds to thousands of sites. Inside each one of those is tens to hundreds to thousands of different components, managed by and deployed and rolled out by tens to hundreds to thousands of people working in parallel. Traditionally, telecom has put that together from the ground up and made it happen without any consolidated data or single source of truth, or as you said, Caroline, automation. It's tremendously hard, inefficient, and as the complexity of technology increases, then obviously, rather than it becoming easier, it becomes harder. There's not many pilots that fly 747s on their own anymore, but there were quite a lot of pilots that flew the original planes. So I think we're going through that journey of having consolidated understanding of status and data that then you can do all kinds of magic with.
Maury, can you talk a little bit more maybe about the automation component that Geoff was referring to?
Sure. And I think in this deployment, one of the biggest challenges is how to make this automation orchestrations possibility in a very stable way. And before we roll out to Germany, there are lots of efforts from Rakuten Symphony with Intel and Supermicro work together. And we are the role providing the hardware to help us accelerate this Open RAN possibilities. And during this journey, there are lots of questions and also things we found we have to be ready from the hardware perspective. And there are lots of the innovation, not just about the hardware its level. Also, we got to make sure the system will be deployed easily in the different sites. And all kind of questions in the past was pretty easy in the data center because one location, but now it's changed to hundreds more. And the hardware itself need to be ready for this orchestration and zero-touch topics. So during this kind of a review and also deployment stage, we recognize this value, how to be the stable partners to the Rakuten Symphony is the key. And I think the collaboration closely in the region is very important. So we do have lots of team here around with the Rakuten Symphony in Europe, in Germany specifically. So I believe this is the success factors. We will continue do more for this deployment in the Open RAN business with Rakuten.
Caroline, Intel's role for automation on the one-on-one deployment?
So we learn a lot in the Japan rollout. We learn what worked well and what needs to be improved. I think we took that to heart in Germany. First of all, everything starts from the silicon platform and enabling software. And everything starts with data. By providing a lot of telemetry data through an API to Supermicro on the hardware platform and to Rakuten Symphony from all the software configuration for day zero. We talk about really day zero and day one. How do we automate and how do we really not relying on such a labor intensive, because I used to do that for a living. You're really relying on your experience and your labor to put this together rather than relying on almost like, people talk about Gen AI. A lot of this is really AI's data by providing a lot of data to our upstream providers, like both of you sitting here, is one key component to be able to automate. Automation rely on data. Data comes from entire chain flowing upwards. So that's, I think, something is really important for this process.
And I think Caroline brings up a really good point that you can always tell when you look in people's eyes if they've done something or they're talking about doing something. So we're so happy to have gone on this journey with Intel and Supermicro, and I do recommend other people to work with them because they've walked down this path, so they can say that nobody does things first time and knows exactly what they do. Good people do it correctly the second time or the third time, and then they never do it the same way as the first time.
Yeah.
Geoff, I want to go back to you. Let's talk specifically about the cloud native aspect of the one-on-one deployment, really from the RAN to the core and all the way to the edge sites. Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, let me start because I think there's so many changes going on in telecom that in parallel now, and part of the challenge there is even the ontology, the words we use, the dictionary, is changing. So if you go back to the origin story of telecom, and I rolled out 2G networks, I'd be speaking to you about a mobile switching center that connected to a base station controller, that connected to cell sites. In our rollout in one-on-one, I don't use those words. I use a central data center. There's 4 of them. That connects to 24 regional data centers that connect to 550 edge data centers. That's the hardware supply chain. In each one of those locations is a template of Intel products, Intel software, Supermicro products, Supermicro software. And then you have a software supply chain on top of it that again rolls out microservices now, containerized applications. One-on-one is completely containerized software. We didn't have that even in Japan. So in the 4 years between Japan and one, the industry has moved forward
Yep.
again. We have to, as an industry, be able to put that into our supply chain and benefit. So the language has changed, the way you view it, and then your way you operate is completely different.
Maury, anything to add?
I think those part Rakuten's Symphony create huge values to the industry, showing how open it goes. And as you know, Supermicro, we provide the hardware solutions to this case. There are lots of investment required behind. And we realized the open RAN possibility, if the hardware can move faster in this supply chain role, actually will be easier for Rakuten Symphony to deploy in all kind of locations. Previously, we have a lot of the data center technology can be leveraged, but still, this is in the telco industry. There are lots of the requirement cannot be just using what we have in the data center. So in this case here, a lot of the hardware, firmware, those things have to be optimized for the environment Rakuten Symphony expected. And we make it possible, and that's how we see this type of the cloud native environment become extremely important, especially Caroline mentioned about how to reduce those operation expense things. When this is all possible, and I think the cost could be saved, and the customer will be happy, and the value could be created very fast.
Yeah. One thing I just want to add, what Geoff just said, describing the network in one-in-one, in the sense of centralized data center, edge data center, distributed center, and edge data center. Think about that phrase compared to what we started with HRR, MSC, the world has changed. Intel has announced an Edge AI platform at the show. None of that would be possible if we do not have the data that we need. What we used to call, we still call OSS, BSS, but that's become a data science project. Should be called data science department. It's really about data, using that data to automate and provide the edge insight. I will go ahead and predict next year when we sit down and talk about this again, the topic is going to be about Edge AI, because Edge AI now will run the network. Think about all the services one-in-one is going to roll out. It's containerized. It's based on Edge AI platform that the network that they just rolled out, fully containerized, will support. I almost gonna put my salary on the line to say next year when we talk again.
We're recording this.
Right? And my boss probably listening to this.
Let's talk a little bit further on Edge AI. Caroline brought it up. More, if you don't mind, let's continue. Impact on operations, impact on customer service. She talked about the world is changing, so certainly is. From your perspective as Supermicro, how is AI impacting operations, customer experience?
I think first of all, AI can be just a standalone in one location. The Edge AI possibility, the original root has to be also the strong power in the data center. And these two factors will be together. And in the cloud environments, you are aware of the AI is possible in the high density computings with the GPU and the CPU. But to make this possible, the application itself have to be a chance to solve the problem at the edge. That's why Caroline mentioned about Edge AI. And that bunch of the data need to be monitored and also do the analysis to create intelligence. And this will all go back to the Rakuten Symphony, what we are doing right now together, because the network data will be huge there. And then how to do the predictive, the result will help a lot for the deployment, including the orchestration enhancement. And Supermicro perspective here, we actually not just have a heavy investment in the AI data center, we actually also have lots of the possibility at the edge. So we do see this a booming trend. It's actually the two together parallel. Data center and also the edge, but their requirement is totally different. And I believe we are able to support both together. And in this case here, I believe the Open RAN, maybe next year, the factors like Caroline mentioned, I believe the AI topic will be addressed more and more, how to help the telco business. And we also believe in that. And we definitely will follow the Rakuten Symphony, the further guidance. Thank you.
Geoff, anything to add?
Yeah, I think AI is tremendously important, and our industry is in a great position. If you were a data scientist, actually, it's a playground because there is a huge amount of data available to run modeling, and the radio networks have really been data science modeled for many years already. There is one thing that's very important, though. And it's true in politics and it's true in telecom. Truth is really important. So an AI is as good as the truth it's given. And one of the challenges with truth is if there's inconsistency is what's actually true. And I think we see that in the real world, where if people have different opinions, they can come to different conclusions. You don't really want a machine to have an opinion on data that is incorrect. So the real starting place for telecom, I believe, is in that, again, I'm going to use the I word, the industrialization of the data supply chain. That's something that Rakuten started with, because that's Rakuten's DNA as an e-commerce company. It runs all its businesses on data already. So telecom was a natural 72nd business to go into to transform.
I feel like that would be a topic for the next session as far as the industrialization of the data supply chain. I think that would
Well,
be...
I think we should come back because I want to see if Caroline's still getting paid. And I absolutely agree.
Yeah. The genuine of data is really important. First of all, you apply plenty of data, and the data needs to be truthful, and the interpretation of data, and that's what the industrialization is about. And it really has to go from the base silicon data, from the silicon up to the hardware, and also up to your system that you're putting together. That entire chain, I will argue, is industrialization of data.
Geoff, I'm going to go back to you, and then we'll go down the line and wrap. Where do you see the enhancements for the one-in-one deployment, let's say a year from now? What can we expect?
Now there's a rapid growth of moving the subscriber base of one-on-one existing from the MVNO operation onto this new network. So there's going to be a massive growth of subscriber base that's going to be really, really good. The network has been built with the future in mind. It's built with the next 10-year demographic growth and thought process about where the market is going. I think what we will see is, rather than as more people start using the network, costs go up, I think we see exactly the opposite. And I think this is hyperscale economics. I think the more you understand how the network is working in an operation, the more the costs go down and the more customers you get. And that's where you start to break that curve of the economic models that we need to get to. There's a linear association in telecom between growth and cost. That's why the industry has a problem, because we have exponential growth. So therefore we have exponential cost. Now, the radios take that out very effectively over the radio waves, but not the operation of the network. That's why the core discipline of this industry is actually the operation of the network and that industrialization.
Maury, Supermicro's role in the enhancements of the one-on-one deployment, let's say a year from now?
I think at this moment right now, the goal is to echo what Geoff just mentioned. We have to continue to bring the right hardware cost to this industry. So we will continue to bring the values, including the innovations on technology. At this moment right now, the challenge on this Open RAN deployment in the future will be how fast we can run for Rakuten Symphony, because it will be lots of the enhancement through AI, through application level. And those topics all mentioned here, computing from the Intel, that innovation through the vRAN boost, those kind of things will have lots of the chance to make us to become a possibility to bring down the cost and also bring the value up. And we cannot do it alone by ourselves without the technology from the Intel, without the Rakuten Symphony investment on this innovation. I think the hardware be alone there just cannot perform well, but we are aware of what we are going to do. So I think at this moment, the dedication and the fast response will be the key for the continuous rollout, and we are looking forward to it.
Caroline?
Of course, we're going to be continuing to improve our silicon platform based on the learning, right? You mentioned vRAN Boost, and we just announced Granite Rapids, the next generation. We also announced the Network AI Development Kit. All of that's really the learning is that how important it is to have a highly integrated, much more vRAN, ORAN, catering silicon, plus the software. The software really adding a lot of the network AI development kit for our developers. So those are all the important things that we learn from this. So a year from now, like I said, when we come back together, we'll have an even more interesting topic, the learnings that we have got the last year from one-on-one.
The fundamental commitment of why Rakuten is here is we are going to reinvent telecom, and there's nothing that we are going to avoid or leave untouched. And I think if you get on that curve, you can ride the wave. The whole industry can. I think it's really important to learn as quickly as possible. But we absolutely do not believe that anything is sacred in this industry, and we think this industry could be fantastic, but we have to change how we do it.
You mentioned truth earlier, and then when you say reinventing telecom, that is essentially what's happening. We're all watching it happen, and it can't happen with the partners that are up here now. Supermicro, thanks for joining us. Of course, Intel, as always, sort of the bedrock of everything that we do here.
Thank
So we appreciate that. And Rakuten Symphony is making strides, and we're all just watching it happen. So it's fun to watch.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Geoff. Thanks,
Thank you.
Maureen. Thank you.